Alright guys, so I thought that I should also sometimes review movies that are out right now, because so far I've just done the ones on the list, but some of these I actually think deserve to be talked about. So you are now watching my review of Man of Steel. Alright, so first I want to start out by saying, when I first found out that this movie was being made, I was actually kind of pissed. I was just thinking, why do we need another reboot? I'm getting kind of, tired of them just remaking the same thing instead of going in a place that they haven't before. Like, why do we need another Superman movie when we could have like a Flash movie or an Aquaman movie or just anything more DC? They need to do more. Because we've seen Batman a million times and we've seen Superman a million times. And it's like right after they made Superman Returns. Man of Steel, when I saw it, I'm actually happy that they made this movie because I really enjoyed it. Our expectations were so high for this movie that, as good as it was, nobody was completely happy because you can't really live up to what we actually want. This was actually a pretty great movie. It had everything that we wanted in it. It had Superman actually using his powers and fighting in some pretty epic combat scenes. It actually gave us a break from Lex Luthor and even from Kryptonite. So you actually got to see a side of Superman that he can actually be hurt, and that his weak spot is not just Kryptonite, but it's also human beings and life and himself, because this movie actually dove into who Superman is as a person, which we don't normally see. And this movie alienated him, so it was almost like they made him so alien that he felt human, because everybody can really relate to the idea of, oh, I'm an outcast, I don't really fit in, and trying to find out who you really are as a person, because we all go through that. Zack Snyder, who directed this film, he has this style to him, and he likes desaturating colors. It was a pretty colorful movie, but it like took away some color to make it kind of like this gritty action movie, like he always does. And it was almost like it made something missing. And one thing I liked about Superman Returns is that it was still colorful, And Smallville did that too. It was still colorful, but more serious, more dark than like the Christopher Reeves movies. But this one was so dark, it was so gritty, that sometimes you didn't even feel like it was Superman. And I kind of missed that quality to it, especially on Krypton. Krypton, it looked like the futuristic version of 300, honestly, with Jor-El and Lara and everything going on there. I did like that they spent some time on Krypton, like it wasn't just like a really quick thing and then going straight into the Superman story. They actually told a story on Krypton before they went to Earth, and that was really impressive. Like, I really liked what they did with Krypton, but it was missing something, and what I realized that it was missing was crystal technology. And I think that, like, that's just a personal preference of mine, because we're so used to one way of them doing Superman because of the Christopher Reeves movies that everything since then has kind of copied that. So we're used to seeing that, and this is the first film that dared to be different, and I respect that a lot, because they didn't even have crystal technology. I also didn't like that they didn't have Brainiac. They had some like talking like robot systems on Krypton that helped them out whenever they needed something to be done, but I kind of wish that that was Brainiac so that it could lead to something else. I do like that it was different, I just didn't prefer it. The way that they told the story, they kept going back and forth between Superman or Clark Kent as an adult and going back and showing things from Smallville, when the hometown that he grew up in, and his life as a child, learning how to use his powers and stuff like that. But I liked that a lot because I love his past and him growing up in Smallville and everything, but I thought it could have been done better. I thought the situations were good, but they could have done more interesting things. I didn't like Clark Kent's little beard when he was, you know, just a sailor on a boat. It was just weird. Like, I don't want to see Clark Kent with a beard. That's weird. But, and then when he actually saved people at an oil rig and lifted it up, that was definitely, you know, a useful thing to show his power and that he cares about people and wants to help, even though he's not Superman yet or anything. But I don't know, I feel like a different situation could have been chosen to do that, because I didn't really like that scene. Let's break it down with the rubric. Writing. I thought that this had a very good story, but it could have been pushed a lot more. Like, I first watching it, I thought, oh wow, this is a really good story. But now that I think about it, they didn't really do a lot with it. They could have added a lot more. But the thing I did like about the story was that they put some thought into it, and what was said was very deep. It was very important, it was very touching and relatable. So I give it that. It was a good story. I don't think that this was a movie that necessarily needed to have super interesting dialogue. Like, Joss Whedon didn't have to write this or anything, but it was written well. Every single line that people said, it just seemed kind of like iconic and important and profound. Every time you heard somebody say something, you were just like, wow, I am going to remember that. More than that, I think that they built a really interesting mythology of their own for the Superman universe, and I really, really liked it, especially what was said about the Kryptonian people functioned as an advanced civilized society. Writing, I would give a 4. Wasn't absolutely amazing writing, but it was really good. Visuals. The cinematography was fantastic. It was really, really good. The lighting was really good. It was very epic shots. Beautiful scenery. Really good capturing of action. You know, visual effects and everything was very on point. Visuals in this movie deserve a 5. Editing, I could not even imagine putting this movie together because of how much went into it. This was a fantastic editing job, and I liked the flow of it. The action scenes were very compelling and moved you through the story and everything. The sound editing, everything about this editing was good. Editing, I definitely give a 5. Performances. I thought Henry Cavill did a really good job depicting what they were, this version of Superman. I thought Amy Adams did a really good job as Lois Lane. And even Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. Everybody did a really good job. Nobody absolutely astounded me though. Like even Zod. I was happy with Zod's performance, Michael Shannon, because he didn't seem like the kind of person that I thought could play this role. I thought he was the worst choice out of everybody in the cast, and I was really worried. I was even worried about Henry Cavill a little bit, because I've only seen him in Immortals, and he was okay, but he did a good job, and they both did a good job. Michael Shannon did a good job. He didn't impress me, but the fact that he could even pull it off was kind of impressive, and they cast this movie very well. Nobody absolutely impressed me, but I definitely think that I would give performance a 4. We come to creativity. Now this movie, even though it's Superman's been done before, they took so much liberty with the story and built on the mythology in their own way. They made this movie their own. There has never been a Superman movie like this before. And whether I think it was the best one or not, it was definitely different. It was really creative. And there are not a lot of movies that are exactly like this. So I think that in terms of creativity, it definitely gets a 5. So all in all, after breaking it down with the rubric and cross-dividing it, this movie actually got a 9.2 out of 10. But I think, stepping back and looking at it again, it's a really good film and a really awesome movie. So I definitely recommend Man of Steel to anybody who likes Superman or just wants to go see a nice action-packed movie with some story and great visuals. So that's what I think of Man of Steel, and what do you guys think?